Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? It's good looking Thursday here, at least in Vancouver. That's where I am right now. And welcome to another episode of the ReMax Live interview, The Voices in Real Estate. This interview will take place weekly, actually every Tuesday and Thursday, for the real estate, for viewers in the real estate industry to learn and become better real estate agents. Within ReMax, we believe in strength in numbers where people are open to share their experiences and knowledge with others within ReMax and, of course, the rest of the industry. That's to help them better serve their clients overall. So today, we have a very technical topic here. It's Systemize Your Business to Success. And our special guest today is Zach Terlier from ReMax Real Estate Central in Calgary. I've known Zach for a little over a year now, and every time I talk to him, he's all about systems. And so he's one of the best there is in the business. So let me get him here on the screen.
Hello,
Hey,
good morning.
nice mug, Dad
I
life.
know, right? The baby's not here yet, but I'm just representing.
Are you sure that's just tea, or is that
Well,
something
I don't want to
spiked?
tip my cup because if I did, then I'd spill my Bailey's. I mean, my coffee.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on to the show here and sharing your thoughts and ideas of how to systemize the business itself.
Yeah,
Like I said earlier to the viewers here, you are probably one of the best there is that I know of in terms of getting really technical.
yeah,
You've basically tried just about every system up there, right?
pretty much. And I've tried to even build my own because I was so frustrated with some of the systems that I was playing with. But it's given me a lot of insight into my business and what we can do to be a little bit more efficient and remain consistent.
Awesome. So typically at the end of the show, it's here we allow people to ask questions, but
Mhm.
viewers out there, you can ask along the way. That's probably the best way to do it. And towards the end, I'll kind of look at some of the questions and see if Zach can answer them on the spot.
Sure.
If not, and by all means, I'm sure Zach will be available, afterwards for any comments and things like that in the comment section. Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, just maybe give yourself a little bit of an intro, who
All
Zach
right.
is and what you've done, your experience, and so forth.
Yeah, so I've been in the industry for about 8 years now. I started in 2012. I'm actually a second generation realtor. Both my parents have been working with REMAX for 25 plus years. So it was a good entry point for me. I'm obviously here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is where I was born and raised. So I know the marketplace really well. But prior to selling real estate, I really had a strong and proficient background in technology and marketing.
Awesome. So, and for those that don't know, Zach is also one of the Young Leaders Network ambassadors that we have here for REMAX of Western Canada. And looking at the screen here, I think we got someone overseas watching here. Johnny, our REMAX franchisee in Hong Kong, there
Oh,
on
perfect.
live watching here too. And Sean Gillis uh, from all the way to Grand Prairie, and we have Manj Singh from Vancouver, I believe.
Cool.
So thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, I don't
So
know what time
let's.
it is where they're from. What time is it in Hong Kong right now?
Well, I think it's just past midnight, so
Oh.
we got a keener here. We got a real keener here. So let's jump right into it,
Yeah.
because we know that not everyone's very technical,
Mhm.
and I mean the word system is very broad. But in your terms, what is the system?
Yeah, usually when people ask me the question in real estate, like what system are you using? It's part of a larger bundle of tools, right? So in real estate, the word system is often associated with technological tools like CRMs or other software. However, systems are much broader than that. Systems are basically the ecosystem in which a business carries out its functions. And to give maybe just a quick example, a system would be something like McDonald's. From the minute you walk through the door to the moment you walk out with your burger in hand, everything that happened in between was all part of a system.
Oh, okay, awesome. So it's basically a system helps with people do things more efficient, right? if you have a good enough system, of course, more effective and more efficient overall.
Well, systems is really at its core all about planning, right? You want to be able to build processes that you can replicate consistently and efficiently over time so that you can deliver a similar customer experience in the case of McDonald's, or deliver on whatever the other business goals might be, right?
Right. So, but why are systems important specific to real estate then? Because real estate, there's a lot of people look at real estate business as very intangible, right? So,
Yeah.
but and sometimes people just can't relate the word systems with real estate itself. But to your thoughts, why is it very important to the real estate business?
Because real estate is like riding a roller coaster, right? Some months you're up, some months you're down. A lot of real estate agents, their businesses are inconsistent and they have no real way of measuring what works and what doesn't work. And that's what systems really helps with, because it can do a number of things. For example, keeping you accountable so that you're staying in touch with your database. It's helping you to deliver on checklists to make sure that every transaction follows a similar workflow or path, right? And it also helps keep us productive, right? And we know that productivity helps keep us paid. So that's why systems are more important in an industry like ours, because a lot of people in real estate are working for themselves and they don't have an employer keeping them accountable and telling them what to do. But if you put those systems in place yourself, then you can ensure that you're always staying on top of everything that needs to be done. You can quantify where your business is coming from, and that's really important, because within our business, we know how many transactions we're going to do if we're doing this type of marketing, or what the return on investment for that is going to be. So even in a downturn like right now, we can get really strategic because of our systems and see what it is we need to do and what we need to adjust in order to weather this storm.
Right. So a lot of people, and I know in the industry, a lot of people use their memory to try to keep track of everything. And as you, and obviously, if you're brand new, then I mean, there's not that your database is obviously not that big. But as time goes on, you do need that system, because you will forget certain things that come along the way. And without the system, you'll start to, lose your direction, your sense of direction of where you want to head to.
For most agents, this is the problem, is they are their system. And that is a big issue. I've spoken with a lot of really top producing agents, and I ask them about their checklists, or what do they do on a consistent basis to bring in new clients, or to remember that they've conveyed all the appropriate documents. And a lot of them say it lives all up in here. And if that's the case, then in my opinion, and I don't mean to shame anybody, I don't think that that's really the way to operate a business, because eventually you want to be able to articulate to someone else what it is that you do, what are your systems and processes, and then have them assist you with your business so that you can focus on maybe some more prospecting or lead generating, or spending your time doing what's going to generate the more value and the most business for your business.
Right. And actually, one of the tips one of the reason to have a system, is that, especially if you later on in your career, you build a good database. If you have a good enough system, there's actually value in selling it, right? A lot of people think that you get into real estate. Well, I can't sell my business, but that's not typically true. It's how you go about it, and if you've maintained a good track, being connected with your clients and so forth, have a good system with it, you can actually sell that.
100%. A database, data is so important, not even in real estate, but everywhere. I mean, everybody's trying to capture data because data has value, and it's no different. If we've been in the industry, let's say some of these agents that have been around for 25, 30 years, well, if they have all the history of their correspondence with that client, and they have a system in place where the past client or the consumer has an expectation of receiving this certain level of service, then yes, they have something tangible, that agent, that they can sell to someone else that's maybe looking to take over their business, right? But I would say the majority of agents don't have that. It all just lives in a paper file, and then when they're done with their business, they hand that over, and someone else has to key that into a database.
Right. So let's get a little bit more technical here.
Sure.
And I previously mentioned that you know a lot of the systems itself. And so what are some of the systems you've used in the past? And tell us about whether it's some of the successes and not so good part about it. Just kind of give a brief. As long as you want.
Oh my God, we'll be here all day.
I'm just kidding.
I've tried pretty much every system, and that was a little bit of my downfall, though, because every system is going to do something just a little bit different, right? And so it was probably at least a few years ago, I was using 5 CRMs all at once because they were all doing something different. And I thought that was bringing value to my business, and it wasn't. So I really had to go back to the basics. And one of the best things that I did was just reach out to some other top producing teams, other top producing agents, find out what they were using, and see where they were running into some complications or what was working and what wasn't working. And from there, I could kind of reverse engineer how that might look in my business. So recently I simplified things, and instead of having 5 CRMs, I've now toned it down to 2. And we're using primarily right now Follow Up Boss for our main database. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Follow Up Boss, it's a system that allows you to import leads from anywhere. So they connect with our various websites, realtor.ca. So anytime a lead comes in, I can easily reassign that to someone new on my team. And what's also nice is we have predefined action plans or workflows that we've built into that system, so that anytime we have a new listing or a new buyer, we launch these action plans, which has a number of checklists and steps associated with that to ensure that we're delivering consistent results to that consumer.
Right. So only 2, huh?
Well, yeah, only 2 CRMs. And the next one is Exact Contact. And Exact Contact is actually a really great out-of-the-box CRM. It doesn't have as many of the integration features with some of the lead providers as Follow Up Boss does, but we use Exact Contact to stay in touch with our database through direct mail. So we input the contact in Exact Contact as long as we have their address, and then on a monthly basis, Morris Marketing puts together a newsletter and sends that out to our clients. It's just something I never have to think of. We just input their name once and then it's done.
So basically, one of the software is more for maintenance, maintaining the database. The other one's more for engagement with your clients.
Yeah, Exact Contact is really just the direct mail piece, but Follow Up Boss is where we house all of our database. That's where we put all the information about our deals and leads, and it's where we follow up with past clients. What I really love about Follow Up Boss is that you can actually write your emails directly within Follow Up Boss, so everybody within the team can see all the correspondence and all the history. You can also see if and when the person on the other end opened the email, so you can see if they're engaging with your content. So it's pretty slick that way.
Oh, so you can track even when your clients open or not, right?
Yeah, it's really, really data driven. And so anytime we get a new lead from let's say someone called us on a sign call for one of our listings, and we input that lead into Follow Up Boss, we automatically track the source. And then at the end of the year, we can look which one of our sources converted, which one had the highest conversion rate. And that gives us a better understanding of where we should spend our marketing dollars. For example, I'll never put another bus bench up ever again. And I know that for some agents, that's a really successful piece of marketing. But for us, we were spending thousands of dollars with a less than 1% conversion rate. It made no sense.
Awesome. So just for the viewers' sake to know that we are not sponsored by Follow Up Boss or Exact.
Oh yeah, no, and there's plenty of other systems.
No, we just want to let the people know that we're not promoting particular stuff. It's just strictly Zach's, what he uses.
Yeah, this is what we use after having researched several different platforms, and they all work and they all do something different. But for what our requirements were, and from the conversations I had with some other teams that were experiencing some of the same challenges I was when I first started out, this seemed like one of the best fits for us. And it's not without its issues. There's things that we definitely have to work through, but everybody on the team seems to enjoy it. And that's really important when you're using a system. You want to make sure that it's easy enough for everybody to understand. And most importantly, that everybody's going to use it. Because if you have a system that just sits there that nobody's taking advantage of, then you're doing yourself more harm than good, right?
Right. And a lot of agents, they do go, they do try different software and see when it works. But people have to understand that there's not one software that's, absolutely catered to your needs, right? Totally. Because every real estate agent out there, they do their business very differently overall. Yeah. And unless you create your own system, it's highly unlikely that any system will fit exactly the way you want it. But of course, saying that, you have to find one that's most that can be integrated the best for your own business itself. So that's what you should be going for. And talking about that, because a lot of people, like we said, don't have a system in place, right? So how would they come about looking into, getting a system, right? To help them? And
I think first what they need to do is write down some of their goals, right? So a lot of people just jump into a system and think it's going to handle everything for them, but you need to decide at your core what's important for you. Do you want something that's going to keep you accountable? Do you need a place to house your checklists for listings and new buyers, or a transaction management software? Do you want a piece of technology that prints out mailing labels for you so that you can send cards to your clients on their birthday? There's a lot of different things that are different requirements for different agents depending on their business model, right? So write down what's important, what you would like to see out of a CRM, and then work your way from there by asking other agents what they use and what's successful for them, because there's so much out there, right? I mean, there's hundreds of softwares. I've tried pretty much all of them. And so a good person to ask would probably be me, right? I could help you out, no problem.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said if anybody wants to ask questions after, by all means, you can help them with it. And you previously was operating as an individual yourself, and then now you're operating more of a team. How has that, in terms of system, changed overall? Not just technology system, but in terms of the way systemizing.
I would
team.
say that, yeah. So it took me a really long time. I was so stubborn because I was building out all these processes in our business, right? And I had less and less time in my day because the more things I had to do because of just the sheer amount of processes I had, I couldn't do it all myself. But I was reluctant to bring in an assistant because I didn't think that they'd be able to perform at the capacity that I could. And I just didn't have the time to dedicate to training them. But now that I have a full-time administrator or operations manager, that is probably one of the most important parts of my system. And that was the missing link the entire time, because I've been able to create processes for her to do. So when we have a new listing or a new buyer or whatever, she understands everything inside and out. And now I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. I don't have to send the client amendments or prepare the listing in the MLS or worry about arranging for the photos or the signage or anything like that. So she really has my back. And all I'm doing now in my day-to-day is prospecting and staying in touch with clients and doing the revenue generating activities that we all should be doing, right? So I would say that shifting into a team mentality and having other people that all work underneath our umbrella has been one of the best decisions I ever made, because I find it really hard to do it all yourself. It's like going into a restaurant and the host is not only your host, but they're your waiter, they're the chef, they're the accountant, they're the bartender, right? Like, we can't wear that many hats as an agent. I needed some help in my business, and that was one of the best decisions I made.
Right. And I mean, that's a lot of real estate agents coming in. They're really good at, engaging clients or finding clients and prospecting and things like that. Not everyone's very good at administration stuff.
No.
And that's not your strength, but you should always find ways to work your strength instead of, taking your time doing things you don't enjoy, and you're not very good at it, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, it's finding the business. That's still the most important part of it. And I think you hit home on it, that having a team itself allowed you to focus on what you're good at, and that's to generate more business for yourself. And certainly you have to, if you're brand new, coming in the industry, you're not going to have that funds to have an assistant. But as time goes on, you have to look into that. And in what point of your career, how many years did it take you to start to realize that having a system?
I realized almost immediately, to be honest, because I was working with my parents. They had been in when I was fresh into the industry. The first thing I asked was, well, what next, right? Like, what is the process? I have a buyer that wants to buy a house. What do we do? And to be honest, it was all living in their head, and I couldn't wrap that around my mind. Like, I needed a process. Like, this needs to be from A to Z, and why it needs to be from A to Z is so that I can articulate this to someone else so that they can help take some of the weight off our shoulders administratively. So for me, it was really early on that I decided that if I was actually going to build a business, I can't do that by myself. We need to have some help. And so that's really what I strive to do. But it took me a long time to get there, right? Because like you said, most agents that are starting out don't have the funds to maybe hire a full-time assistant. Virtual assistants weren't really popular when I first started in the industry, but I know a lot of people are leveraging that now. And I think that that's a step in the right direction. But you just have to ask yourself, what is your time worth, right? And if you can hire somebody else administratively to do some tasks that are, let's say less than what you'd be paying yourself, then have them do that so that you can focus on the things that are more revenue generating for your business. And free up
Definitely.
time too. My assistant frees up 160 hours a month for me, right? So if you ask yourself, what could you do with an extra 160 hours a month? If it's not generating more income, then you're not making the right decision in hiring an assistant, right? They're supposed to free up time so that you can generate more revenue and stay in touch with your clients.
Well, for you, it's probably perfect now because, like your mug said, that life
Yeah,
that's coming soon. You probably need those hours, especially for the first
totally.
couple months.
Yeah, the timing. So we brought our admin on, I think it was like 2.5, 3 months ago, and there's been a lot of training involved. And then now everything that's going on with this whole pandemic, it's been a little bit challenging because we're not interacting face to face anymore to do some of the training. But this is all the more reason why it's so important to have systems in place, because if something was to ever happen to me or I got sick or anything like that, I have policies and procedures in place that everybody on the team understands, and they've got my back if anything goes wrong. And not a lot of agents can say that because it all lives up here.
Awesome. And another question for you. This is an interesting one. This is not one we ever talked about. Is that even though you're very techy in many
Yeah,
cases, you do have a, I heard you have a whiteboard,
I do have a whiteboard.
a huge whiteboard.
Yeah, I'd love to share a picture of that whiteboard. I have to remove all the private client information, but yeah, it's gigantic.
So what was your thought of getting a whiteboard then?
Technology systems don't always have to be technology based, right? I've talked to a lot of top producing teams that use paper based file systems, and they're doing 200, 300 deals a year. Like, it's insane. So a system doesn't have to be technology. Use what works best for you. The reason why we wanted to have a whiteboard in the office is because it was something tactile that we had to modify on an ongoing basis. And it's something that we could visually look at every day to show us what we have in the pipeline, what we have that's pending, and what we have that's ready to pay out. So it gives us a good sense of well-being if we see a lot on the board. But if we don't have a lot on the board, we know we need to hustle and fill up those lines. Otherwise, we're not making any money, right? So it's a really good visual goal setter, right?
Yeah, and I think that's very important too. And that was a great idea of yours, and I know you sent me the photo, and for a long time, it's like I
We
was
love it.
thinking, it's like he's got this technology down pat, and he's still got a whiteboard, and that's why I wanted to ask you
Totally.
that
And when you're
question.
doing team meetings and stuff like that, it's just so easy to look at the board, and then we can all just go through everything item by item and discuss what's going on with that listing or that client. And then we're all up to speed in 5 minutes with everything that's going on, and we're good to go. Everybody works together.
Awesome, awesome. So we're coming close to 23 past 10 now,
Yep.
and so I'm going to ask what's Zach's ReMax Hustle Tip for viewers here.
I would say just do it, just like Nike. If you're kind of dipping your foot in the water of getting your business systemized, now's a better time than ever, right? Because the biggest complaint a lot of us agents have is that we never have enough time to focus on some of these things. So since we have a few weeks or a few months of downtime, this is when you should be writing down everything that you do in your business and trying to find ways to offload that for someone else to do, or build it into a system or a process that frees up some of your time. You just want to deliver consistency efficiently.
Awesome. Hey, Nick Perfetta,
Oh,
your
there's
office.
my
Oh,
manager.
yeah, your
Perfect.
manager's on there. Hey, Nick, how's it going? And anyhow, do you have anything more you want to add to, for the viewers here, and anything
Who,
you
me
want to
or Nick?
share yourself?
Me, Zach.
Yeah, Zach.
No, I don't have anything else I want to share except for, ask a lot of questions, right? So you don't have to go at this alone. One of the great advantages to being in the ReMax network is there's a lot of really high performing individuals that have already thought out a lot of these things. I was trying to reinvent the wheel for the longest time, and it wasn't until a few agents beat it into my brain that I had to keep things a little bit more simplified, right? And that really helped make a change for my business, and I think it can make a change for everyone else, right? So keep it simple, ask the right questions, and you got to start somewhere.
Exactly. I think that's a very good advice there. Ask the right questions, because I realize there's a lot of people that are willing, like yourself, willing to share knowledge. But if you don't seek answers,
No, you cut out a bit.
but if you want to learn more about how to become better at what you do, ask questions, ask the best there is, and there's lots of them within ReMax that you can share.
I'm
Anyways,
always
thank
asking
you,
questions.
Zach.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I know you are always asking questions. Well, and
Okay, great.
thank you for sharing your ideas and experiences. And yeah, if anybody have any further questions, feel free to ask it during the chat, and Zach will be able to help you afterwards. Okay, thank you.
Talk to you later.